clicking and popping in the tailbone area is actually quite common. So I got a question for a Q&A on what happens when I do a side lunge and I get this clicking or popping in my tailbone area. The person asked, is that my hip flexors? Is there anything I can do? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the anatomy first and kind of maybe what's causing this and then what we can do about it. All right, so when you look at the tailbone area, you actually have a lot of pelvic floor muscles that insert into this area, as well as all of your glutes. Piriformis comes into the sacrum, so I know you said tailbone, so I'm assuming you mean coccyx, but you've got a lot of muscles that attach in and around here that control the motion at the tailbone, and it is very movable. Thank goodness, we have to get babies out. All right, so what can happen when this area clicks or pops is you could be getting more of like a little adjustment maybe in your SI joint, or you could be getting some kind of ligaments popping, or depending on how it's happening and where that pop is coming from. It could actually be coming from inside the femur and the acetabulum. So when you haven't moved a joint through a range of motion recently, when you move a joint into a new range, it's going to release pressure. So that type of pop is not something that I'm worried about. So if you go to do a side lunge and you feel a pop in this area, but it feels good, like it releases pressure, like, yay, I'm moving into a range that feels a new range, but it doesn't continually happen, it only happens kind of the first time you move into that range, then that's awesome. So great exercise, great way to give yourself an adjustment, perfect. All right, but if you feel more of like a clicking sensation that happens where it feels more like, this kind of feels like some rubbing that's maybe not healthy, then that is something we want to take a look at. So if you go to step out in your side lunge and you get an abnormal pulling here, that could be what's happening. So there's a couple things I want you to think about here. But one of them is pelvic rotation. So basically side to side rotation, because that's going to change. You have muscles that attach here that run over to your leg, all right, to that femur. And so depending on how we rotate the pelvis based on where the leg is fixed, that's going to change tension on these muscles. All right, so what I mean by that is as you go down for that side lunge, if you guys heard that just now, I just had a nice little pop in my ankle where it was like, ooh, you just moved into a nice new range, which is great. But if we get a lot of clicking every time, that's when it's not great. But so you go down for your side lunge, depending on where you feel it, you might want to take a look at, did you rotate in as you went in for that side lunge? So are you adding a big rotational component to it? So what I mean by that is, do you add a big rotational component to your side lunge, or did you tend to stay nice and straight? So nice and straight without that rotation happening. So if you have some maybe tightness down on those deep hip rotators and you rotate for that side lunge, you could be pulling on them or maybe asking them to lengthen more than they want to lengthen, and that would be something to take a look at. The other thing I want you to take a look at is what's happening in the forward and back motion. What's happening in that forward and back motion of your pelvis, because that can pull on that tailbone. So if you have some pelvic floor tightness down in here, and you go to do your side lunge and you go into that anterior tilt, and you feel the clicking there, so it's not a rotation, but it's a forward back motion, then that could be a factor too. So what I would look at is, what's tight, kind of what's pulling, when is it happening? Is it on the way down? Is it on the way up? What micro movements are you feeling within that? And is it a good micro movement, or is it a micro movement that's more of a hanging on a ligament type micro movement? So if we tend to be a little bit less responsive through our glutes and we just kind of flop down for our side plank, it's not for our side lunge, if we just kind of flop down and kind of do that anterior tilt, let everything spill out, rotate on it while I'm just collapsing on my leg, then that's going to have a lot of pulling, because eventually we're going to end up just hanging on our ligament structure for that, instead of using our muscles to really control that force and lengthening down. All right, so what I would like to do is analyze how you were doing those side lunges and then kind of pick that apart for looking at, all right, what's maybe not showing up, what micro movements are happening that is causing that clicking, and then determine if that clicking is good, or if it's something that is maybe we'd want to correct